Hi, I'm Dino Tripodis. If there's ever been a guest that I would consider a Nostradamus of whiskey business, he's back. Comedian Mike Larsen tonight on Whiskey Business. Hi, I'm Dino Tripodis. Welcome back. We're back.
We're
to
back,
Whiskey
everybody.
Business, the podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one with whiskey.
With whiskey.
It's as the kids say, it's been a minute.
It has been a minute.
It's been like a month and a half.
Yeah, last podcast, Vince Morris is up there, fun one. If you haven't heard that one and anything prior to that as well. But we're back. We've all been very busy. I've been busy, but Mike Larsen is back with us.
Yeah.
And I tease that he is the Nostradamus. If there was a Nostradamus on this podcast, it would be him. And I don't want to talk about this right now. We'll get into it later, but I will explain it to you very quickly.
Okay.
On the last time you were here, you said that, look, guys, before the election, one of them's going to drop out. He's either going to drop out, or one of them's going to drop out or die. And sure enough, one of them did drop out.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, the wrong one, but but nonetheless, you said it, and it's like it's always struck a chord.
Look at
So
that.
yeah, look at that. And
I'm a genius.
I'm sure there's other wise things you said that were also, I'm sure you predicted the latest fall in the stock market. I'll have to go back and listen to that podcast.
I predicted Timothy Chalamet's career.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Wow. Yeah. And said he would not
good
win
name
the
drop.
Oscar. He would not win the Oscar.
Too
It's nice
pretty.
Nice to have you back, man.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. I've been following you on social media. I'm a guy that was always a comedian, still is a comedian, but also successful writer in Hollywood as well. Moves back to Ohio. That's the backstory. I'm just recapping it very quickly. But it seems like you're doing more stand-up now than you ever have here in Ohio.
Yeah. You know, I reached a point now, and you know this coming up through stand-up, your entire career as a comedian or any entertainer is trying to get the next thing, trying to get discovered, trying to get seen. This is the first time, maybe the last 10 years, really 5 years, where I realized that there's no reason to do this other than that I love it and I'm good at it. And also reach an age where there's fewer things that I'm really good at.
Right.
You know, my basketball's gone to hell, but I can still do that. And I just love it. I tonight I'm going to an open mic with a bunch of amateur comics. I don't care. I just love it.
And I know, which is a nice segue into the guest bottle because we're starting earlier than usual because you do have to race to another gig. This is a commemorative bottle of Jack Daniels from the McLaren Racing Group that they put out in 2020. Is it? Yeah, 2024. This is the 2024 edition. But
IndyCar or open wheel, right?
McLaren. I don't know what McLaren is.
I had a McLaren Hot Wheel, and I
Okay.
believe it had like a race car.
Yeah, it was a race car. Yeah,
A race
they're,
car.
They're
Yeah,
like
I don't know much from racing. I know the name McLaren, whether it's
well, on the side it says McLaren Formula One team.
there you go.
Formula One is the big wheel,
There you go.
IndyCar.
We
Read
are
the
the
label.
only 5 white men in Ohio, and none of us know auto racing.
I
Yeah.
never became a fan of that. I never
No, me neither.
never to sit there and
And I grew up in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I'll watch Indianapolis 500, and that's the only race I watch the entire year. And it's like, what the hell are you doing watching racing? Like, I don't know.
I mean, do they cut to the
Kentucky
guy in
Derby.
the car talking a lot? Do they mix it up a little bit? You know,
No, it's not like what is it? That movie with
Brad Pitt?
Shake and Bake or whatever.
yeah.
It's not that.
Well, I went to the the day before the Indy 500. When they're kind of warming up once when I was working a comedy club there.
Pole day? No,
Whatever
I don't
it
think
was,
what
but
it's
they
called.
were
Something day.
But being there and the vibration of those cars going by, I totally get going. I would go to
It's
a
fun.
race because it is crazy how you before you even hear it, it's like oh.
Yeah. And yet that is the sporting event that I've been to the most.
Really?
Oh, really?
The Indianapolis 500. Same
Wow.
reason. I was working Crackers.
Yeah.
Crackers in Indianapolis
Yep.
on Indy weekend, and the manager, got us tickets. And dude, I've gone twice, and twice I was out before the race ever began because of the party, and we were in the snake pit.
Oh yeah,
in the snake
I
pit.
was
They
there
closed
for
the
race.
snake pit down now.
That was open back then, and let me tell you, we got bit. We got bit
Get
badly.
in the sun, that'll do it.
So you're going to a place called Space Bar tonight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just an open mic, and you have
It's just a stage at a bar, but it's run by some local kind of newer comics who I like a lot, and so
How's
I
that?
hang with them.
How's that? Getting to know the youth of comedy.
Honestly, I comics are comics to me. When I'm with them, I feel like I'm just a comic, right? You comics.
Do you feel young again?
Yeah,
though?
I'm just a comedian, sure. And then, you go in the bathroom and you look in the mirror and you're like, damn it!
I'm old. Why are there mirrors?
Yeah.
That's not just me.
Do they look at you? And I'm not being self-serving here. I'm very curious. Do they look at you for advice?
Oh,
do they want to
yeah,
hear the stories?
sure.
Do they want to,
But you also know comics. Yeah, some. And, I've taught, like, joke writing classes and
Sure.
stuff in town. So some of them I know from that. But some of them, yeah. Sometimes they have. But you also know in comics, some of them are also like, the hell's the old guy doing here?
Right,
And I
exactly.
totally respect that, too.
Right.
It's like, that might have been what I was at 24. I don't know. So, yeah, it's just comics. I like, that it took me quite a long time in my own life to realize that every comic has full of anxiety and doubt and all that stuff that
Sure.
I thought I was the only one and I was such the loser and everyone else was so confident, and then you realize you're like, no, man, that's why we're comics. And so I just really love, well, I will say this. There are 7 or 8, maybe 10 comics in Columbus right now that have been doing it maybe 2 years who are really, really good. That are actually like, oh man, I can't wait to see what they do. But of course, to see them, you have to also see the 40 others who aren't. Maybe they will be, but
We got to
comedy.
start somewhere. Yeah.
But I kind of love all of it.
yeah.
And I like going up for my 5 or 6 minutes tonight. I don't know what I'm doing tonight, but I'll whatever they let me do and have fun.
You don't
what
go
you
in there and bump a bunch of people and just do 30 and say, fuck you guys?
Nah, he's not that. First of all, he's not that guy.
I know,
He
I
wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But second,
Second, I don't have 30.
yeah, you do. You have 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but you know what is nice? My whole life, I started in San Francisco, and then I was in LA for years, and New York for a while. There were always comics who would walk into those places who would immediately get stage time, And I never thought, so in Columbus, I'm not, a name, but in Columbus, it is kind of nice at this point in my career to walk into a club and have people say, hey, you want to do a few minutes?
Sure.
That's nice.
And sometimes I do, and then sometimes I don't. Usually I do if I'm there, but yeah. And it's not like, you and I both grew up in a time when you would get bumped if someone
Sure.
came in. I've many times in San Francisco, sorry, the last 10 people aren't going on. Robin's coming in tonight.
Yeah, well, you told Robin Williams' story
And then the
on
one
one of the
time I went on
podcasts.
after him, yeah.
You had to go after Robin Williams.
That's too bad. Sorry.
Yeah.
Talk about a badge. Talk about a badge of honor in so many ways. One, you went on after Robin Williams. It's a
It
great
was
story.
my first time at a comedy club.
And secondly,
Yeah.
fuck, I had to go on after Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge badge of honor. Talk about paying your dues quickly, right out of the gate.
Yeah, and to be like, the shameless name dropper, the MC that night was Dana Carvey.
Oh wow,
Dana
that's
was
right.
just-
That's right. I forgot
Dana
that
was a
part.
local
Forgot about that
open
part of the
micer
story.
MC, and he grew up not too far from me. He grew up in San Carlos. I grew up in San Bruno, in Northern California. And he's a few years older, but yeah, no. And Dana was the guy who told me said, should I go? And he said, no, if you never do comedy again, this will be a great story. And if you do comedy again, this will be a great story.
Yeah.
You do it. It's never going to be your first time, and you have to follow Robin again.
In hindsight, pretty good advice.
Oh, it's like, and I got to see Dana maybe oh God, I don't know how many years, but fairly recently, maybe 10 years ago, I just ran into him and I told him the story, and he didn't remember, but he's like, oh, that was really nice of me. Yeah, it was, David. Thanks.
I gave good advice.
Yeah.
But go back to what you were saying before. It's like, how wonderful is it to be in a position in life, comedically speaking, where, like you said, you're just going up for the sheer love and joy of the art and the craft of writing and telling jokes with no expectations other than, I hope you like this.
Right. The expectation is killing, and the risk is bombing, like comedy should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's, no one's going to discover me. It's not my Schwab's drugstore, And I love that. I just love doing it. And I take, I've learned now, I've taken a few like gigs that I realize, I don't love this. I don't have to do the corporate thing that comes every now and then I will, but usually it's not as enjoyable as going up. But you know what else really interesting for me, because I was 20 something when I started comedy, and for most of my professional career, like on the road, I was, late 20s, early 30s, so really a young guy. That's when I kept doing comedy, I was still always kind of just doing that act, and it was only working with other comics. And I would tell comics that when you go on stage, there's 2 points of view. There's your point of view that you're telling the audience, but the more important one is the audience's point of view. When you walk on stage, what do they think? And most comics, local comics, the audience is thinking, who's this jerk? It's usually someone who did not shower. They're wearing whatever. They got a beer. They're, and it's like, if that's your character, then go with it, man. Develop that character. But if it's just laziness, then maybe put a little thought into it.
Sure. Are these some of the things that you teach in your class?
Well, yeah. When I work with a comic, usually, yeah. But anyway, for me, what I was getting to is that it wasn't until I told that to the 10th person that I was like, oh man, when I walk on stage, people are like, who's the old guy?
Right.
And that's fine, but I should at least be aware of it, and sometimes I acknowledge it, sometimes I don't, but just realize that I was still kind of doing the act that I had always done. Now I'm very much just being the old guy, Mike Larsen.
Why? Yeah. And why not? Why not speak and make funny with what you've learned and accomplished and where you're at in life?
Right.
Let me ask you, I'm going to go back to the class for a second. Is it hard to teach people to write funny?
No. Right. To be, I don't know.
To be fun
is a real thing.
You have a writing class.
Charming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I teach joke writing. And joke writing, like songwriting, is a learnable thing, right? It is based on the same things as songs, right? Timing and
rhythms,
formula and pace and message, all those things, right? So that can be taught. And the way my like simple lesson, like elevator joke writing lesson, is that a joke is a short story with a surprise ending. All you got to do is write the surprise. So we do an exercise where we have like children's, like second graders play, word cards. Everyone take a card, someone gets pencil. Okay, you've got 2 minutes. Write a surprising thing that you can say about a pencil. I bought a pencil and it hurts when I put it in my ass. Whatever. It doesn't have to be great, right? It doesn't have to
straight to the butt.
It has to be surprising.
Right.
Okay? And the whole point, the other thing that teaches is the only way you write good jokes is you write bad jokes. And you write, when I worked on, late night and would have to do 20 good jokes to the boss, 500 ideas went through my head? I don't know. I didn't write them all down, but you're...
Sure.
Oh, and someone pretty early in my comedy career told me this, Larry Miller. You probably remember Larry Miller.
Yeah.
Larry Miller said, just write surprises, and you'll never get writer's block, because you can always, once you take the thing that it has to be funny or brilliant or has to fit in my act. Comics are just like, oh, I wouldn't say that. It's like, yeah, but you could write it. Just write it down. Throw it away.
So the students that are wanting to learn how to write jokes and write funny, are they also aspiring stand-ups? I mean,
So most of them are comics. I've had this really funny woman who's actually an ad exec here in Columbus who took the class, who was awesome. She was a great writer.
That's a hell of an idea as an ad writer. That's a
Oh,
great
absolutely.
idea.
She says, I do this all the time. I need I wanted to learn.
Yeah, it's nice.
And it was like, exactly. And I've had, many like professional comic friends who've been doing this for years. Clark Taylor, I don't know if you remember Clark Taylor, who was in San Francisco for years, now is in St. Louis. He's around our age. But Clark was like, hell, about around the time I should be learning how to write a joke, And you know what it is? A lot of times it's for guys who are, for people who are just funny. And you get by on being funny. We're funny. And then you learn to write a joke. It's almost like someone who's played music by ear and then they learn what the notes mean,
Right.
And they're like, oh, now I get,
Yeah.
It's just, and for me, I teach that I do a new joke every time I go on stage. I don't know what new joke I'm going to do tonight.
You're going to do a new one tonight, though.
Of course, I always do.
How many
Always do.
new jokes have you written for tonight?
None.
None.
But
you're
I'll
gonna-
have one or two before I get there. It's a 10-minute drive.
It's a 10-minute drive.
That's how much a
It
pro this
doesn't.
guy is.
It doesn't have to be great. I'm.
It just needs a surprise.
It just needs a surprise, and sometimes it's like that's a keeper, man. I'm gonna build on that one. Other times
Those
it's
are
like
the best
oh,
moments, yeah.
it's a throwaway,
When
whatever.
when you stumble across something and it's
Whatever.
and it's gold.
But yeah, and for me, man, taking that. Well, and I know you because you go up occasionally, but not often. And when you don't go up often, when you have to go up, it is terrifying.
Oh, it's God. I am so dreading if there is a next time.
Yes.
Because I've threatened to go back up. But,
Yeah.
but the longer I go, the longer I'm away from it, the more terrifying.
Oh, absolutely, it is.
Like I actually, I was texting you and I'm saying like, well, what time's the gig? And maybe what's close by. Maybe I'll go with you and check it out. And at the same time, what I didn't text was what I was thinking. Oh God, what if I go there and they ask me if I want to do some time? And would I do it? I didn't text. I was like, I panicked.
Yeah.
I literally panicked
Right.
because I've probably written 20 new minutes of something or another, whether it's good or bad.
Right.
I don't know. I've written it. I was inspired to write it, and I jotted it down, and I formulated it and whatnot. But, and that's crazy to be that afraid.
I know.
We need to talk you into going with him tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can go. I don't know that.
I'm not gonna-
They won't. They won't probably put you up. I don't know how.
You're not
these
good enough
things
to
work.
get
I don't
asked.
expect that.
But you should totally come and do it. Well, I've invited you. If you one of these days, when I do one of these shows, you'll be available.
You asked me to come. I was so excited about it. Like he invited me to perform with him at Hashtag, and I'm like, I'm in. And I'm like, I was actually like, when I said I'm going to do it. I'm
I'm gonna do it.
I'm facing the fear, baby,
Right,
and I'm
right,
going to
right,
get
right.
ready. And I have been getting. I was preparing.
Yeah.
Then I
Oh wait,
found
there
out
was even a social media post. Is this the same thing?
It was, in fact,
There was
even
something on
long
the
after
internet.
You had your film premiere that weekend. You had to go out of town.
I had to go out of town, and I apologized, and I'm like, man.
Yeah.
And then and now he's got another great thing coming up, which leads me to my next question, because I have a whole series of questions in respect to this particular moment in life. You're having a birthday comedy show.
I am.
For your 65th
My 65th birthday.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Welcome to 65.
Yeah.
I'm going to be 66
Nice.
this month.
Yeah.
And you're turned 65. A momentous occasion, my friend.
Yeah, I suppose.
With, Medicare and
The
everything.
more momentous occasion for me was when maybe 10 years ago when I got the letter that said that whatever, that I, could get Social Security if I needed it at that point or
Right.
something.
Right.
And I remember I didn't need it at the time, but I felt like, whew, I made it.
Made it there.
Okay.
And now you're
It's like
even
the bare
further
minimum. Yeah.
along with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm
65. How do you feel about 65? Especially now that you're, in the last couple of years, your dynamic and thoughts on everything have changed, which I think is kind of cool. You're not going quiet into that night, as they say.
Oh,
like a
no.
lot of 65-year-olds who like, man, I just want to get there. I want to retire. I got, I want to buy a boat and go fishing, and that's it. I want to think about nothing else. I'm busier now at 60, going to be 66, than I've been in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And I find it invigorating and exciting, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
I also realize that I'm also, because of the last 7 years and how things took a bad turn, getting fired not once but twice over the course of 7 years, and the pandemic.
Shooting for 30, baby.
I realize that I'm going to work to the day I die, which is okay, because why wouldn't
You like
I?
working. You like what you do.
Why wouldn't I'm a creator. I like to create. I like to do things. Why wouldn't I work to the day I die?
And what you and I do for work isn't like digging holes.
No.
We just get to goof off and write. I mean, it's work.
It is
but
work.
It's doing what we love, that whether you're doing it for work or not, you'd still be thinking up goofy ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So
at 65, what's your perspective on the next 10 years? We had a birthday podcast because we all had significant birthdays in the course of a year. He turned 40, he turned 60, he turned 60.
Yeah.
I turned 65. It was
Okay.
like, so we talked about where we were in life, what we would have done differently if we could have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
What
So-
prescriptions were on?
What hurts,
yeah,
et cetera, et cetera. But at 65, I mean, can I pay you a compliment without insulting you?
I don't know. Can you?
Yeah, I can. I can. You look terrific.
Thank you.
You look better now than the last time I saw you. You look healthier. You look more vibrant.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the glasses. The glasses are new. I never
Yeah.
saw those glasses before.
Yeah.
So
I like that blazer. That's nice.
Nice blazer, good skin tone, looking good.
yeah, I mean, you not that you look bad.
I'm
this
sorry.
time.
Wait. I'm sorry.
saying you
There's
look
one
ba-
person who hasn't complimented me yet.
I'm not saying you look bad the last time. Not bad, but comparatively, you look. There's
Yeah, I feel
something.
good.
There's
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
very positive happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what do you attribute that to? I mean, just
Well, I don't. I'm drinking sugar-free root beer.
You are
I
drinking
stopped-
sugar.
I one of the reasons why I always loved coming here was for the whiskey. But I kind of reenacted the podcast every day for many hours
And
when
then-
I went home, and so I reached a point where I was like, no, I'm done with that. I would say that's just made me get healthy. I'm probably 30 pounds lighter than I was
Yeah, you are.
back then. So whatever. But honestly, I got a kid in college now, a freshman in college, and at some point in that's really all it's about. I mean, everything's just about, I'm going to raise Luca. I mean, my wife and I, he's a good kid. He's doing great in college. And so, they say kids keep you young, but it's mostly just that you still got to do stuff that my 40-year-old friends who have kids in college are doing. It's just, when we go to parents' weekend, people assume, not Tina, but they assume I'm a grandparent, And so it's like, whatever, that's fine. But I think that's part of it, my perspective. I still work, not because, yes, I have to, because I like to buy things that I want, and I want to pay for my kids' tuition. So that's all part of it too. I think was my kid out of the house already, and I was, I don't know. Maybe I'd have a different attitude, but I don't know.
that's fine. I mean, what's great about I don't want to say reinventing yourself, because you're not reinventing yourself. You're just not. You're embracing as opposed to reinventing.
You know what? I am trying, and I think as much as I can to do more of the stuff I like and less of the stuff I hate.
There you go.
And there was a long time in life where I just felt like I was just doing a whole bunch of stuff I didn't want to do for people I didn't necessarily like.
Even if it was in your industry.
Whatever,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And sometimes you had to, but sometimes you didn't even have to. And so it's like, if you got to, you got to. But more and more, I just was like, and that's really, for a long time, I didn't really do much stand-up. And I was like, I'm going to go back and do stand-up. And it was hard at first. 'Cause, I mean, I couldn't remember my act to save my life. I mean, even like just my set list for the night. And I feel guilty to have my notes on stage with me and all of that. And then I just got to a point where...
who am I trying to impress?
Right. I'm funny. Yeah. I bring my notes on stage. I'm a comedy writer. I wrote a joke about bringing my notes on stage, right? I mean, whatever. You deal with it. You just have fun. A while ago, I guess an open micer or whatever here, who's, I don't really know him, but he made a comment to someone else while I was within earshot. While I was purposely within earshot,
right.
You know, what the hell is he doing here? You know, he doesn't need the stage time. You know.
Oh, because of the longevity of your career and
then it's somehow me being there and entertaining the audience is depriving them of another shitty open micer who could have gotten that spot. That's what you're saying.
Basically,
he could have gotten a spot. Yeah, instead, I had to go entertain the audience for 10 minutes of that horrible night of amateur comedy.
Right. On stage.
Well, no, but you know what? Again. There was a part of me that was like, I like that guy. That is probably my attitude at that age. Mm-hmm. But it also like, I don't know, it kind of kicked my ass a little bit. That why am I doing it? I'm doing it because I love it. I really love it, and like I said, I'm good at it, and it's fun doing stuff you're good at. Right. It's more fun than doing stuff you suck at. So yeah.
And I don't care what anybody says. You're going to be 65. I want to be 66. Especially in that particular business, it feels good. I mean, if it strokes your ego just a little bit, and you could say, "Oh, I don't have an ego." Yes, you fucking have an ego.
Yeah, of course.
If you don't, I'm not. Yes, there's a certain degree of vanity. When especially a new joke or any joke, you go up there and you make people laugh. Endorphins are released.
It's all vanity.
It's endorphins are released. You feel good. You're contributing. You're giving them something, and you're giving yourself something.
Yes. And I always, my entire comedy career, I was always someone who chatted with the audience, and I was always good at that. You know. So now, like going up and doing that, and now they make a big deal about this idea of crowd work.
I was asking about the crowd.
I'm just working with the crowd.
I've asked this for every comic that's been on most recently. From Nicky Winkleman to Vince Morris to every. How do you feel about the whole? It's represented as something. Oh, it's crowd work is the new thing. It's not new. It's ancient. There were comics way before.
I have always done it. I have always done it. But not every comic did it. But and there are comics who do and comics who don't. But now there's
with social media, and now you get the quick little hits of the crowd. This guy working the crowd, and the crowd's going crazy. Like, oh my gosh, that's spontaneous humor. It's so in the moment. That's so meta. That's the other thing.
No, there's guys like Matt Rife and stuff who basically do old heckler comebacks and just kind of douchey,
he's like
bar
built a career on that.
Of course he has, and I'm, hey, anyone who makes a career at this,
I got no problem with that.
Man.
Yeah,
it's hard to make a career,
but for all the Carrot Tops and everything else out there, I have people say, fucking Carrot Top, he's a $1 million prop actor. He's I got no problem with anybody that
and he looks really good too.
And a very good person too.
That successfully makes a living at what they do and how they do it.
No, I mean, the thing with crowd work is like anything in any. It'd be like there's people who say they do crowd work because they're just not good comedians and they don't want to write a joke, right? And so whatever. Hey, if you can make it, go with grace. That's not who I'm paying to see. Mm-hmm. Like I get asked all the time, will you be on our crowd work shows? And I'm like, no, because it's a crowd work show. Well, I'll be on your comedy. I'm good at it.
Wait. There's actually shows that are billed as strictly crowd work shows?
Yes.
What? That's it.
I've never heard of that.
Every comic that goes up is working the crowd.
Talks to that same poor guy at this poorly attended show. I don't think it's like they got 800 people to choose from.
I would never.
It's probably 4 drunks in the front row and some some poor idiot who brought his first date there. She's going.
So if there's
Okay,
four
Judd,
comics on
we're
the
on
bill,
ya.
and I'm being conservative in that number, and the first two work the crowd.
No, we're talking 9, 10 comics. No,
Oh,
it's an
my
open
God.
mic.
Okay, but I'm
open
saying
mic.
it's a crowd work show. What's left on the bone for comic number 5 or 6 to work with the crowd
guy's-
when the first 3 have gone up there and worked
Basically a
them?
carcass.
What's left?
I don't know. I don't go to them.
Slim pickings on a carcass.
But no, that's the reason. It's
They
like
rotate the
I
audience.
I mean, whether or not I talk to the crowd is something that comes from reading the room and being in the moment on
Sure.
stage, you know. And if someone else before me has done a lot of it, I usually don't. Just because you want to be different. The whole idea. You got to be a surprise, right? Be something different. So yeah, the exact same thing. If someone else has also, I never insult the audience when I talk to them, unless someone's like heckling me and I gotta.
Then
sing.
you gotta
But
fire
even
back.
then, I find if I have to do that, I've turned to the audience because that's not my act. I'm not an insult comic, you know. So sometimes you got to do it, but I'm much more interested. I talk now about bullying a lot in my act, and so I ask people who was bullied, and I always ask, "Do you remember the name of your bully?" And you get some really great responses. You know, sometimes people, "Oh yeah," they can't wait. The other night, this guy, "Oh, Skylar." Whoa, it's an awesome bully name, Skylar. And he told me what Skylar did to him. And this other guy tells a story at hashtag the other night, and he's like, yeah, and then he gives the name, and it's the name is of this famous missing Ohio State student from a few years ago.
Oh wow, yeah.
Do you remember? You know who it is? I forget the guy's name.
You got the
But he said it, and a few people were like,
the Brian something. I can't remember.
yeah.
Who went into Eddie George's or whatever?
Right,
and
and
one
they
disappeared.
never walked out of the bar.
Garage, yeah. It's
So he said the name, and I was like, "Is that the same guy?" Because yes, and they were like, "So if the police talk to you,
Oh my god!
it was awesome." And he's like, "No, it was like when I was 8 years old." But
Oh shit!
and so we did, you know. So when
Interesting.
you heard he went missing, come on, was
heard he
there a
went
little
missing.
bit of you know?
Yeah.
It is. It's one of the unsolved mysteries of Columbus, Ohio. It
But
really
that's
is.
what's fun for me to talk to him, not to like, oh, let's find some
And what are
fun
the
stuff.
odds you would find the one guy
Right,
that knew the guy that was?
But
Turns
whatever.
out to be a killer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He solved the case from crowd work. He solved the
I
case.
know. It'd be, yeah.
I mean,
Mike Larsen,
Premise
crowd
for a
work.
fucking comedy show.
Yeah, crowd work detective Mike Larsen.
Oh, it is like the opening act of like the cold open to a Columbo episode.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me started. That's been for the last 2 years, my comfort show to watch has been Seinfeld. I've been watching Seinfeld repeats, but then I changed my cable to the Zumo streaming box, whatever.
Zumo.
Anyway,
Yes, Zumo.
there's a
Zumo.
channel. There's a Universal Crime channel, and it's Columbo's.
Oh,
So every night I'm watching. Just one more thing.
yeah.
That's right.
You know, and I've been watching Columbo every night to try to fall asleep and relax, but no, I end up watching.
It's so riveting. He can't fall asleep.
That's comfort food
I
for
have
the
a
mind.
friend who's in Michigan. She's an awesome poet. She's also a librarian. And she has gotten hooked on Columbo. And she every now and then will like text me like some bit of a Columbo plot, and I'll have to say, Columbo?
Yeah.
And say, didn't you see it? I said, yes, I saw it like when it was out.
When it was out.
First
It had a good run. It was part of the NBC Mystery Wheel.
I probably
Back in the
remember
day.
Kevin Pollak's impersonation of Columbo
Oh, yeah.
better
Probably.
than I remember Columbo, though.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
That's a
That's a
good
pretty
one.
good one. It's a great show. I mean, you know what the murder is there. They show you the murder at
Right.
the beginning of the episode, and it's up for Columbo to put the pieces together. I fucking love it.
Is there a dog involved?
He's got a dog.
All right.
He's
Okay.
got like
Columbo with a dog?
He's
I
got
didn't
a
realize.
dog. Yeah.
He's got a weird car. And
Yeah.
He smokes
Did he?
cigars.
Yeah.
And he has a
Yeah.
trench coat.
And you never see Mrs. Columbo. He
No,
refers to
always
his
talks
wife
about it.
Yeah.
until there was an actual series
Yes.
called Mrs. Columbo.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Really?
And
God.
the
Kate
NBC
Mulgrew.
did yes,
Kate
Kate
Mulgrew.
Mulgrew. And
Really?
and I think it
Mrs.
lasted
Columbo.
a season.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Lasted a season. Like somebody had the genius idea. Why don't we make a show about Columbo's wife? She can solve
And then
crimes
never
too.
show
She
Peter
also,
Falk.
like,
No,
sloppy
she
and
was
found
was
tuna
awesome.
sandwiches in her pocket.
No, it was. It didn't work.
They should have gotten Sandy Duncan, so they both had.
Oh my God!
Oh yes.
Yeah.
We're cooking now.
There's
boys.
a man who's paying attention. You are paying attention. Oh man.
So yeah,
That is a great
before-
show. You notice that whenever there's a crime, they always use whatever the modern technology is. Oh yeah, you. The time was 6:32. Why so precise? We had this new digital watch that said
right.
6:32.
Yeah. I think I like
Microwave oven.
that
microwave
period.
oven.
I was really into Banachek.
Also part of the
George
mystery
Papard.
wheel.
Yeah.
Part of the NBC mystery.
George
Banachek,
Papard.
McMillan and wife.
Papard.
McMillan and wife with Rock Hudson and
feeling old right now.
Yeah.
Columbo. I remember. I watched them.
shows.
Crime shows were my thing
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
70s.
Oh, yeah.
I watched them all. Starsky and Hutch, Beretta,
Yeah.
Mystery, Columbo.
I like how Baywatch
Rockford
tried to
Files.
be a
Rockford
drama.
Files.
Yeah,
It
there
might
you
have been
go.
the best of all of them. Yeah.
I based all my success as a private investigator back in the day. I give full credit
Yep.
to the Rockford Files. I went ahead
Oh, I love
and
them.
got little fake business cards that said I was somebody else. Could be somebody.
Did you have an answering machine?
I did have an answering machine.
You would. How?
That's all we had. We had an answering machine.
Right.
McLeod.
McLeod, Dennis
Yeah, there you
Weaver.
go.
Yeah.
That was part of the mystery wheel as well.
He ride his horse in.
Banachek was the insurance investigator.
That's right.
Yes.
That's what
And he
you
would
did.
get-
That's
huh?
what you did.
Huh? I did. I was an insurance
Yeah.
investigator, but he would get like a percentage of everything that he got back. you know.
Right.
So that's
You're
how
like
I-
going bullshit.
Yeah, I get nothing. I got nothing. All I did was, save the insurance company money. I got paid a salary. I didn't get a percentage, but he had.
I remember my dad at that point would go buy like whatever Banachek was wearing. Banachek was like
Ah.
a fashionable guy.
Yes, he
And
was.
my dad, I remember went and got like a Nehru jacket. It was just like some
he
Catholic dad.
he
in
was
the suburbs.
influenced by George
But
Papard.
We used to laugh. We used to call him Banachek.
It's so funny.
I have this awesome like leather jacket, but it's like a leather sport coat. But it was that real back then, that kind of hard leather.
Yeah,
you never broke it in.
It never gave.
No,
You could never work it in, work it
Yeah,
out.
but it
whatever.
was his Banachek jacket. And I
Banachek.
remember, like, when we were cleaning out his house, I was like, he doesn't have that Banachek jacket. That was my brother knew exactly what I was talking about. He's like,
That's so funny.
Did
Should've asked him
Banachek have turtles as well?
Probably.
Probably.
Way
might have been a
Prob-
Dickie.
Yeah, that was a good show. There were so many even that would never make it now. Like Barnaby Jones, Buddy Epson ran for 5-6 seasons on CBS.
Like 40 episode seasons.
It's
Yeah.
not doing well with the 18 to 24 demographic.
It was a CBS show. CBS show has always done well with an older demographic, and Barnaby Jones was on CBS. Cannon with William Conrad was on CBS.
Ironside.
Ironside was on NBC.
Oh, dang. I didn't know that.
NBC was an NBC show. I don't ask me why I know this shit because that's my whole life was TV when I was growing up.
Right.
It was just crazy. Yeah.
That's great.
And what the hell were we talking about?
I don't know, but this is a good jag. I
we,
like
went,
it.
we went down the rabbit hole. We went down the rabbit hole.
Solving crime doing
Yeah, that's
crowd
right.
work.
That's right. That's right.
Crowd
We're
work,
gonna
crowd work,
solve a crime by doing
But
crowd work.
now, like, they would do the true crime version of Columbo. One Columbo episode would be an 8-episode
Yeah.
Netflix
Right.
series
Yes.
where they keep showing the same still photos
Yeah.
and say, yes. And who is the suspect?
Yeah.
And then go to commercial. Or, go
Well, I did one of those last year. I did the Real Murders of Los Angeles for the Oxygen Network.
yeah,
I did.
I
one-
know. I remember you were
one-
talking about it.
One of those episodes,
Yeah.
and that's exactly like they tease
They
it that way.
drag it
and,
out like
and then they brought in their secret weapon, and I'm like, oh, me. I'm just thinking,
Well, like that Menendez special, which is really interesting, but it's like this would have been a really good 1-hour story.
Right.
You know, instead of a 16-hour story
Right,
that they
right.
turned it into. Yeah. Wow.
Got to pay the bills.
Well, CBS has the modern equivalent. They have a show called Lisbeth. And
Oh, yeah, right.
did you ever
Elsbeth.
see Elsbeth.
Elsbeth.
Elsbeth. Sorry,
Right.
Elsbeth. I
And is
messed
she a
that up.
psychic or something?
No.
No, she's just
Just
really
gifted?
weird.
She's
She
just
has
quirky.
like ADHD or
Kind of
something.
a
She's got a
Spectrum kinda,
weird way of
yeah.
thinking things through.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Is that the
She's
girl
so-
from Always Sunny?
That's a girl actually from
that's another show called
The Good Wife.
No, that's Elsbeth is from The Good Wife.
Oh,
Good Wife.
Okay.
Yeah, because she was a lawyer in Chicago, and then she moved to New York to become this proctor for something or another. But the one that from Sunny, that's a show called High Potential.
Yeah.
High Potential.
Yeah, Kate
which
Olsen.
I'm kind of upset they haven't had a new episode yet.
No, they're done. They're done
Like,
for the
forever?
season. No. It got very.
Oh,
good
that was the
ratings.
season finale?
Yeah, it was
'Cause I'm
it.
waiting to find out. Oh.
No, dude, you got to wait till next season. Sorry.
Dang it, that's
And good for you for still watching network television.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
He's the one.
Which is how this man made his living for a good long time.
Thank God for network television.
Yeah. So do you ever
Great segue.
think about that? Like, would you want to work in that medium again now if you could? And
Sure, I would take it. Sure,
if they are,
that's not going to happen, but sure.
why wouldn't it happen? Is
For one thing, the world that I worked in really doesn't exist anymore. There are a few network sitcoms out there, and I still have some friends who work on them. On like the new Reba show, I worked on the old Reba show.
And there's a new Tim Allen show. Shifting
There's
gears.
always a new Tim Allen
There's
show.
always
Yeah,
which that guy just
friends who work on that, or at least worked on his last one. I don't know. Yeah.
It seems like the same show for Tim Allen, just a different.
Yeah.
Different premise.
Yeah, it's Tim Allen.
Kind of switch it
What
around.
Different job.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
do? I mean, Tim
Shifting-
Allen is no Tony Danza. You know,
Yeah,
there's only
but
so
hey,
much you can
but-
do with Tim Allen.
But look at the shifting
Tony
gears.
Danza.
It's a big hit. It's a network show. It's a big hit when it airs, and then it doubles and triples the amount of views when it streams.
syndication,
The next day. No, not syndication.
Here's the most
on
important
streaming.
thing from my point. It's the network. So they've got a network writers guild contract. So those guys are making good money. Those men and women are making money. I mean, because a writing career, you work a year and then maybe you're off for a year,
Right.
or 2 years, or maybe so you need to make money when you
Right.
work.
Which
So
is awesome.
when you work on the more popular shows, the Netflix shows, they do not have the same contracts with the Writers
They do
Guild.
not.
You work 8 episodes instead of 24 episodes. You get paid $4,000 an episode instead of $20,000 an episode. You know, it's the night and day.
Damn, that
and
doesn't seem-
when you work your 8 episodes or 10 episodes, right? And then on streaming, it could be 3 years before they do another series, and you're still in contract with them. So much different scenario. But yeah, every now and then I get nibbles of things. My manager will call and say, "Hey, someone was asking about."
So you still have a manager.
Yeah, but because he was my manager
He was your
when
manager.
I left Hollywood.
He will
There's-
always be your manager.
There's no reason to fire. They only get paid if you get paid.
Right.
It's not like we talk. We don't work on my career every
He revises
every
your
couple
resume.
of years. If I go visit LA, we get to play golf. He's a great guy, Rob Bolton. He has working young clients. Most of his clients these days are directors, and they're in drama. I was kind of his last comedy client. So yeah, but every now and then he'll say, "I had lunch with so and so. They were asking about you. Do you want to send them anything?" And sometimes I'll be like, I got an idea I'd like to run by him. Right. Or other times, like, "Hey, no, tell him I'm doing great. I'm glad I still have the open door."
Yeah, that's nice.
Why
That's
don't
it.
you why don't you strive for this 65 and on, just created by Mike Larsen, and let everybody else do the other shit.
Yeah, well, you got to create it though.
But you gotta create
You
it.
they don't just let you.
And you're
what?
the
If you want to
showrunner
slap
after
my
that,
name
right?
on a successful show, you can
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, but you got to show run some
Created,
seasons
yeah,
before you can
created
walk away.
by.
Yeah.
Mike
Oh, I
Larsen.
loved working in television. I absolutely loved it. But yeah. I had a good run.
You had a great run.
It's I mean, they say the average longevity for a Writers Guild television writer is 1 season. Most writers never get through their first season. They never get through that first 10-week option. When you get your first job as a baby writer, you usually get a 10-week option, and I think they can do 3 of those before they have to actually hire you for the season.
Wow.
And so usually you get 10 weeks, and maybe you get another 10 weeks. I was pretty lucky in that I got in the door very, only through the grace of the showrunner who invited me in on Grace Under Fire. And, halfway through the first week, they said, we're picking up your option. So I was really lucky.
That's nice.
But the other two baby writers who were hired with me, one that didn't last the season, the other I think did. But
what would you say your contribution was as far as the difference between the two guys or two people that got let go and what you were doing and they picked you up?
Well, I'm very handsome.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There's no argument there.
That doesn't
That's
matter,
true.
but it matters. It matters.
I've heard that. Yeah.
very, very handsome, very charming. I have a great sense of humor. Not only when I do stand up, but just in life every day.
I am a pleasure to be with.
Women say that sense of humor is one of the qualities that they love. And I check that box.
The two things is that I can write jokes really fast. And I had learned for many years stand-up, and Larry Miller telling me to write to the surprise.
Write the surprise.
When you're pitching jokes late at night and people are like sitting there, if you change your thinking to just what would be a surprising thing for this character to say, and you throw it out there, and eventually, and I'm pretty good at putting it in, joke format, so people, so that was that. And partly my just kind of state college education. I'm a mile wide and inch deep. I'm not an expert on anything, but I can bullshit on pretty much anything. I could have an airplane conversation with anybody.
Yeah,
whatever they
right.
do.
Yeah.
I know enough about civil engineering
Just
pretend,
enough. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And boy, nowhere does that come in handy more than comedy writing,
I bet.
where you just need a take on
reference.
anything.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing. I never heard that saying, a mile wide and an inch deep. That's
I
amazing.
don't think
I'm gonna
I've
remember
made it
that.
up. I've heard other people say it as well, but it
gonna remember that.
definitely describes me. Yeah.
I want to spend the last 15 minutes because I know we got to move things
Yeah.
along. Hansberry's got kids to pick up, and you got a gig to get to,
Yep.
which I might still accompany you.
Yeah,
and
you
just
should
I just want to watch. I just want to watch.
should
I have
come.
no desire to go up on stage, but I just want to. Maybe if I soak myself into the
I
atmosphere.
would like some of these comics to and for you to see some of them. There's
I would
there's
yeah.
a few really, really good young comics.
It's either you or work on my taxes, which I have.
Oh, God.
my taxes.
I still gotta do mine.
I still got to do. I
Way to-
sit with the accountant on Thursday at 2 p.m. and I've just now cracked the seal. Like, oh my God! I never hated the word 1099 so much in my life, and that's all. That's all last year was 1099. How do I write this off? But anyway, I digress because I want to spend the last 15 minutes talking about something that I said in the beginning of the podcast. So we're going to come full circle. I said if there was a Nostradamus on this podcast, it would have been Mike Larsen, because last time he was here was during an election where we were in flux, if you will.
It was early spring.
And he said that I don't think one of them's not going to be in the race by the time it comes down to being it. And then Joe Biden bows out, Kamala comes in, and here we are. You called it. You didn't say which one because both were old and both were not of best of health. So, I mean, you kind of joked that one of them was going to either drop out or die. Yeah. Thank God neither one of them died. Though someone tried, supposedly.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so don't give me. You know what? I'm so
going down
torn.
that rabbit hole.
I know. So where are you?
understand.
Having been somebody who actually got into the political system and tried to run for office and has experienced those things and now deals with where things are right now. How do you feel? We're not even done with the first 100 days. The first 100 days don't end until April 30th. I forgot how many executive orders. I read how many executive orders, proclamations, and memorandums have been done in the first 30 days, first 100 days before April 30th. And it's just like, am I going to make it? Am I going to make it for the next 4?
Yeah.
I am, because I got no skin in the game. The market's a mess.
Yeah.
And I got nothing in the market right now because I lost it all in the last 7 years during the pandemic. So I feel,
my 401k is like,
oh yeah, your 401k, your 401k actually,
Yeah.
the market went up 1,000 points today, and then as soon as he spoke, it went back down another 800. So I've thrown a bunch of shit your way. You decide which one you want to tackle first before we leave.
I'll say this. That I think we're realizing just how fragile democracy is, that it's not like a thing that actually like is that we are guaranteed. I think we're realizing now that it was basically an agreement between everybody that we were going to play by certain rules, and you are a Republican and I'm a Democrat and you're this and you're that, but we're going to play by certain rules like, checks and balances and respect the courts, and we're not going to cheat too much, and because
what's all that?
And I think we're seeing now that just how that really was, and we were and right now, unfortunately, we are depending on people that are not just don't have our backs, and I don't think, so.
I know. See, you're the same.
That's why what I said earlier about being focused on raising my kid,
right?
That's part of it. A big part of it for me was, you know what? The greatest thing I can do for humanity right now is raise my kid. He's a good kid. He's studying chemical engineering. I'm gonna raise my kid, and yeah, there will be another fight where I gotta get into it. But you know me, I'm a political person, so I'm always helping. I'm writing stuff for people. There's people I write for, and
you're very good at it.
Thank you. I'm good. But one of the reasons why I'm good, and not just having kind of a wide knowledge. Right now, I'm good for people because I've kind of tuned out. I watch the news when I get home. I don't, pretty much on election day, I decide normally whenever I drove, I would have NPR on. Now I don't. Now I've been listening to Audible books, and
probably wise.
And I'm loving it. For one thing, they're so many things. Steve Martin's autobiography to this Irish whodunit, whatever. What seems good. People tell me about
Murder in an Irish pub.
Listen to it. I got a 40-minute drive to work every day.
I need to do that. I need to do more of that. I need to listen more because I like to read, and I read Steve Martin's autobiography, and I'm waiting for the next bunch of those years to come out.
The Audible where he reads it is
okay. So he reads it.
Fantastic.
So he reads his own autobiography. Okay,
that's awesome.
All
right.
Yeah.
All right.
No, but But so when I help people, I have a couple of people who are currently in Congress who every now and then
I heard you wrote some long form thing for Cory Booker.
Cory Booker. Oh, that was amazing. The notes on that script were ridiculous.
25 hours of my best stuff.
Yeah. What do you mean you got to trim it for time? No, but in a weird way, not being caught up in the day-to-day cycle has given me a little bit of clarity, I think,
That's very interesting because you were knee-deep in it last time we talked, and now to hear this stance a little bit better, which I'm not judging, I'm not saying anything, it's kind of interesting to see is that indifference or is that acceptance? What is
so
that?
You're saying before, when I look like crap,
right,
I was knee deep in politics,
right,
and now when I look happy,
good, you're out. Let me do the math.
There's something there. Let me see. Wow, maybe it wasn't the drinking.
What changed? What changed?
No, but part of it is just kind of this it's really important now. And my son is trans. We're right in the middle of this.
Right.
Whether we want to or not, we're in the middle of this. And he's doing fantastic. And so I'm taking my
Is he
cues
scared?
from him.
Is he nervous? Is he worried? Or
he must be, but that's not the kind of kid he is. He doesn't talk. It's so funny because he's very much like when he first told me, and I was trying to wrap my head around it, and I was like, well, just tell me what do you want? Where do you see yourself, when you go to college, for instance, And he's like, I just want to be a dude. I'm a dude, Dad. I want people to treat me like a dude. My name's Luca. You know, and it's funny, for 5 years before that, you know, when he was my daughter, Marianne, was stealing all my clothes anyway. Where the hell did my T-shirt go? You know?
How long ago was this when
Pardon me?
how long ago was this when he told you?
When he told me, let's see, he's 18. He was probably a sophomore in high school, and it was also during COVID. Everything was so.
So I met her or him before all that.
Right? Yeah. Marianne, you know, he's a cool kid. Always has been a cool kid,
Nice kid.
but was a very insecure, scared of her shadow girl, and now is the most confident 18-year-old kid who speaks to groups about what it means to be trans down in North Carolina, which I would have done. I was like, how'd they talk you into that? And he's like, Dad, have you ever met trans people? I'm like the only normal one.
The only normal one.
That's funny.
He's like, all my other trans friends are like, when they said they need someone, they're like, oh, Luca.
That's awesome.
You know?
He can do it.
So
Somebody's got to be a leader.
No, but you know, but it's not. Oh, it's like he's very, very, just very funny kid. And Tina, my wife, one day said, "You should do stand up." And he's like, "Mom, I'm not going to be a nepo baby." And I was like, first off, look, I am not nearly big enough for you to nepo anything.
Yeah,
There's no benefit out of it. Yeah, maybe I can get you a spot on an open mic. That's the best I can do.
Nippo comic. Oh my God.
No, but
you go back to that same that same guy that was bitching. Like, first of all, I got to deal with him taking up stage. Now his son.
Yeah,
great.
Now the whole Wayans family is here. Yeah. But no. If I would go back for a minute though, the thing that really kills me the most about, and tell you in my act I talk about bullying a lot.
Right.
Part of it comes from this idea of, you know, in the Trump Elon Musk world, bullying is cool. Who knew they were going to just decide, hey, let's just be bullies. Let's just take the side of the bullies. And it has been disheartening that I think most of the people who vote for Trump, well, all of them, they know who he is. A lot of them are in it for the cruelty. They love the fact that he's deporting parents who have he loves the fact that, you know, they're harassing just some trans kid who wants to go take a leak. Let me go use the bath. You know.
Yeah. What did Michael Moore say, that his followers basically a Molotov cocktail into our society, basically?
Yes. No, but and it really, they seemed more than the policy of it, the whole tariffs thing, everything. They love the fact that they're being mean.
They love the fact that they're being mean, but can it? Oh my God! Like, well, this round of this particular tariffs, we're going back to since the most recent 1930, and you know the old saying, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. And here we go.
He's
you know,
doomed.
we're repeating it.
Because he doesn't know anything about history, Trump. He's like,
or are we? The thing with Donald Trump that's different than any other president is, I mean, I have no doubt Richard Nixon or Herbert Hoover, they loved America. They were absolute patriots. They just did, you know, whatever. Yeah. I disagreed with them. Donald Trump doesn't love America. He's not a patriot. Elon Musk isn't a patriot. Elon Musk is, you know, a son of an apartheid, diamond miner. You know, what the hell do they know about America?
Love money.
Right.
That's all they love.
Yeah. And that's the thing that is most kind of just disillusioning for me, that makes me want to just say, at least on the day to day, and then get my kid through this, set them up for life. I also have grandkids, you know, let's set them up, because it's going to be harder for them than it was for us. And I don't know what they may be living in a system that we don't even vote anymore. So I got to at least equip them.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, we always strive to make life better for our children, our grandchildren,
and
than what
who
we
knows
had.
what?
It's crazy. It's a tough question. I don't know if it's a tough question, but it's an interesting question, because when I talk to friends who are like-minded like myself, we don't have a whole lot of confidence in who might step up to make a difference moving forward. I consider myself more of an independent, but I'm registered as a Democrat, but when I look at the Democratic Party right now, I don't see anybody rallying the troops, and they should have started 2 years ago.
See, I don't know. We just mentioned Cory Booker.
Yeah,
Cory Booker.
Well,
did
okay,
that.
that's a 25-hour stance in the Cory Booker. Yeah, okay.
But no, it wasn't just. In fact, I'm going to send you. There's this incredible woman named Kat Skiles who wrote a thing.
Oh,
on
I saw
LinkedIn.
that on LinkedIn.
Oh,
I read it.
I
read it. Yeah, she's great.
Kat is a good.
She's
friend.
amazing.
I gave her. Yeah, she worked with me on the congressional staff. I've known Kat forever. But anyway, where she laid out what the Booker machine. I was really impressed. I've always liked Cory Booker, but I was like, wow, the way they had all their social media ready to go. They were recording it into TikTokable moments from the get-go and just push it.
3 million hits on TikTok. 3 million hits on TikTok.
It was awesome.
It was a machine.
There are people across the spectrum in the Democrats that I like. That Pete Buttigieg, who's more conservative than me, is doing great things. Elizabeth Warren, who's to the left, is doing. But who? But yes, who? But I don't. For one thing, I just don't know that it's necessarily going to come from politicians. You see, I mean, I did not go to the marches this time around.
That took place over the weekend.
It was 5 million people worldwide. But it was nationwide. It was. And every one of them was given $1 million by George Soros, evidently, according to Donald Trump.
According to Donald Trump.
They clocked it.
Every one of them. George Soros spent $5 trillion on that march.
No way.
Yeah, boy, that was a bit.
I didn't see it. I dropped my wife off in Westerville.
But no, I think people are taking it. People are being active. Every time we lose, anytime anyone loses, they think it's over. We thought Trump was done when he lost. He's never coming back from this. So, you can take it as it comes.
I don't care about the we thought Trump was done. He won and so forth. I'm just like, I don't know where the next hope.
I am less concerned about us not having good candidates than I am about us not having elections. I'm more concerned.
Do you think we wouldn't have elections?
Yes.
You think it could go that way?
Remember, he's
The
Nostradamus.
Supreme Court can do whatever they want.
I know
right?
they can, but
and even when they rule against him, so what are you going to do? That's what we've learned, right? You can't send those planes to El Salvador. Tough.
Yeah, watch me.
What are you going to do? They're not going to arrest him.
no.
Uh,
No, that ship sailed how many times ago?
they've made this massive move to elect county clerks and secretaries of state all across the country to do Trump's bidding. There's sheriffs in Union County here in Ohio. There was a far right-wing son of a bitch sheriff in Union County. He got primaried last time by a guy further to the right who's a MAGA guy. And they're setting it up. You see it setting up. Part of the reasons why my wife and I are thinking of moving into Columbus. At least it's one, I like to live here, but I don't know that I want to live in a county with some MAGA sheriff and a trans kid, and we got our pride flag up on our flag.
Farm living might not be the life for you after all.
That's for
which
me,
sucks because
that's horrible. It's not America.
You should be able to live wherever you want to live and live peacefully,
for me, right,
and
it
comfortably,
all comes down to
and safely.
I just gotta spend my time preparing my grandkids, to be good people and to buckle up. It's gonna, long after we're gone. I don't feel like I'm leaving a better world to my kids.
I know.
Like my parents felt.
These are the only times in life where I wish that I was younger again. I wish that I was even 20 years younger, 45, to like, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I could do, but
You wouldn't have a pension or
Yeah.
savings. But
well, I don't have it now.
Okay.
I don't have it now. So that's
Right.
gone too. I am literally, like I said, I'm gonna work to the day I die to come full circle, but that's fine because I'm gonna be working on stuff that I love.
Right.
But it's just. You worry about your son. I worry about my daughter. My daughter's getting married this month.
That's awesome.
For the first time.
Awesome.
A couple of
For the
engagements.
first time.
I thought-
Hopefully for the only time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a second.
I thought you were going to say the fourth
time. I was going to say that. He was going to say my daughter's getting married
Well,
for the fourth time.
congratulations.
Future ex-husband.
He's getting
My-
married.
my-
You know,
my
end of sentence.
My point being,
Fourth time.
she's had a couple of engagements that didn't pan out.
Okay,
So
She
sure.
can
now,
do it.
Sure.
and now,
Haven't we all?
and now she just turned 43, and
That's
she's
awesome.
getting married for the first
That's
time.
wonderful.
It
You
is
can
great.
do it, Danny. You
It's
can
great.
do it.
Yeah. The Danny
That's
and Danny. No, it's
wonderful.
going to be going up to
Let me help you with the father, the bride speech, though. That one is that one.
That's
the
a
first
tough
time
one.
thing is not a good. Yeah.
Yeah, you can because
My daughter got married, and it was probably the most fun 3 minutes I've ever done was doing the toast at her wedding and
3 minutes.
saying nice things about my daughter and roasting the guy she's marrying a little bit.
Do they have a light at the 3 minute
So
mark?
did you roast the guy? Because I thought about that.
I just said
Because I'm meeting his mother for the very first time at this wedding. So I don't know if I should actually roast
Well,
him.
I genuinely love Sean. He's such a good guy, but
I love Danny.
Right, see, that's great.
Yeah, the guy
So I just made a joke about Sean is very much the man I wish would marry my daughter. I would have liked him to be better at golf, which is because he's a big golfer and all of his buddies. And then I made a couple little jokes about him, but he's shorter than my daughter. Little things like that are
You got to surprise him, right? You
that were
surprise
fun.
him.
And they actually, my daughter got my whole television career. I was nominated for an Emmy once, right, on Bill Maher, and I was very excited about going to the Emmy ceremonies.
Right.
And it turned up on the same day as my daughter's wedding in Missouri. So even though I knew we weren't going to win that year,
How did she take it?
It was in the middle of the so so of course I couldn't go, and I was like, oh hell no, of course I want to go to my daughter's wedding, but it was or people would ask me, was it a tough choice? It's like, well, no,
it's not a tough choice.
I wish it wasn't on this weekend. I wish it was even like tomorrow so I could go, but
Right.
yeah,
my daughter's getting married April 26th.
Oh,
and
awesome.
I leave on the 24th.
Where?
I come back, up in Brewster, New York, upstate New
Nice.
York. They're going to do it right on
Beautiful.
the property, very small affair, 70 some people.
Destination
But
wedding.
but again, we're doing not the plug because it's sold out, but April 30th is
Yes.
the
can't get tickets.
I know you can't get tickets.
I know.
I told
wanted
you to get tickets.
too.
You have to do what I do.
When it sold almost 500 tickets in the first 3 days, I said, "Hey guys, this looks like it might sell out." I don't know. I'm shocked. I was, by the way, very humbled by that. But yeah, we
That's
like
awesome.
900 seats at the Southern Theater, April 30th, gone, ready.
That's a nice theater.
Yeah, it's a nice theater too. So, but I wish that. April is just such a crazy month. I wish I could do the I Dream of Jeannie thing and blink my eyes.
Right.
But wait a
And
second. But
it's
you
May.
get to go to your daughter's wedding and meet her family for the first time.
Meet his family.
his family for the first time.
Yeah.
And I got my movies opening this
Right.
weekend. Oh, please. It's like, how cool is that? The bride's father has a movie opening this weekend.
That's not gonna come up. That's not
Oh,
gonna.
what do you mean
that's
it's not gonna come up?
It's not gonna
Of
come up.
course it's going to come
Is
up.
it an open
Come
bar?
up,
Because it'll come up.
Well, no, I did.
You were going to bring it up. Who are we kidding?
I'm not gonna bring it up. I'm not gonna. It's her day. It's her day. Her
Yeah.
day.
Does she
Her
listen to the
day.
podcast?
Huh?
Does she listen to the podcast?
No, she doesn't. None of my family doesn't listen to anything that I do.
I know, neither
My,
do
my
I told my-
daughter's new husband reminds me of the movie that I wrote that's coming out this weekend.
Speaking of my future son-in-law,
I mean,
Everybody can take their phone out right now.
I gotta like beg my family to listen or watch to do anything that I do. My mother said, we got from Cleveland. How was it? I says, good. The reception was really great. They loved it. Okay.
Next.
So what are you gonna do now? I'm like, what do you mean now? You know, she doesn't. It doesn't.
it's okay.
Doesn't register.
Just for my own, can you tell me? So, are you still looking for a distributor, or do you have?
No,
a distributor?
we have a distributor. We have a sales agent. We have a distributor. We're just waiting for them to do their due diligence, and yeah, we're in a good place.
Good.
We're in a good
can't wait to
place.
see it.
We're in a good place.
Maybe we'll have to go on StubHub and get the aftermarket tickets.
We're talking about another screen, but we have to. There's all that. There's a lot of festival bullshit that affects this, that, and the other thing, and you just got to.
And there's also limitations to how many times it can have been shown in order to get into festivals.
Exactly.
They don't want to show something that's been around 1,000 times.
No.
No. So I know you got to be stingy with that.
You got to be.
Yeah.
That's the word, stingy. Yeah. So do you have an idea what you're going to do tonight? I looked up Spacebar. You said you have a set at 8?
The show started at 7. It's only 10 after 7.
Okay, it started at 7
But I go
because
on at
when
the
I looked online, it said they don't open until 9. But maybe that was during the. I'm like, who?
I don't know. Yeah, no, they know I'll be there at 7:40 or so.
You will be.
Oh yeah, I'm on. I'm like whatever. I'm always on towards the end anyway. So unless I mean, sometimes I'll say, "Hey, I want to go on early," but yeah, no.
So it goes from 7 to 9. The open mic tonight.
I imagine it will.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know, but
So
yeah,
I could
if you
still
wanna
come home.
There's some very funny comics at the back end of it when I'm on that you should see. That there's some really good. You know what? Now the comedy scene is heavily female, and for most of the time that we were coming up. A woman comic was like a novelty act.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, it's a girl comic, And now it is, especially the local scene here, some of the very best young comics, like people in their like early 20s, are women comics.
That's great.
Nikki Winkleman.
And
we love Nikki. Nikki.
Nikki. When I moved to town, Nikki was the woman. I mean, there were a couple, but
but Nikki.
Nikki was kind of Oh, Nikki's
so funny,
fantastic.
so sweet. Just and just she's the whole package all the way around.
She's great.
She's just
I see her
a
all
great
the time,
person, a good person, a funny person,
Yeah.
a good mom. I mean, she checks them all. She's great.
Yeah, no. But yeah, no. There's a lot of good young comics, and
I'm gonna go dip my toe. I'm gonna go dip my toe and watch. I'm coming.
Come
I'm
watch.
coming. I'll follow.
Can I invite myself? Can I come too?
Dude,
course.
it's a public bar.
Yeah.
I got nothing to go on. It's early.
Yeah,
early
come
show.
to the
And if
show.
it's over at 9 o'clock, I can still come home and do my taxes.
I appreciate it. The added advantage of you coming is I won't be the oldest guy in the bar.
No, I will be the oldest guy in the bar.
It's like, hey guys, I brought my dad.
If my hair keeps getting more gray and gray with each passing week.
Take pictures. Take pictures and share so I can share for the socials.
No, we're not taking any pictures.
Yes, take
Nah,
pictures.
You're welcome to take
One or
pictures.
two.
No, we're not taking any pictures.
Yeah.
We're not taking any pictures.
Yeah, we'll drop
Well,
them in.
dude, thank you, man. I mean,
Thank you. Oh, this is always fun.
Thank you for coming back. Thank you for being honest and open, and that's one of the beauties of having you on this podcast. You always bring something to the table each and every time. I think it's just 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, 3.
I think it's my third
It's your
time.
third
The
time.
premise twice, once or twice. The
Once or
premise.
twice on the premise, but the actual podcast 3.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
We should do like Saturday Night Live. We should get a
Five-timers
Timers
jacket.
Club.
a 5-timers
Oh,
jacket.
there you
A
go.
Yeah.
5-timers
Coming
jacket
up.
for whiskey business.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, I would
And
like.
then never get anybody on for
Right,
5
right,
times,
yeah,
so we
yeah,
don't have to buy a fucking jacket.
Well, I'm glad you're coming tonight because I would like you. I mean, there are some of these young comics that you might want to, use some of these, get that point of view.
I would.
There's a few,
I
like,
haven't had any
Young
like
locals who are really
young minds on this
Yeah.
podcast, and I would. It's funny you mentioned that because I was actually thinking about that. I would like to get younger minds on this podcast to see where their heads are at and see what their goals are. See if they kind of actually parallel with what we thought back when we first started. Is it different? Is it kind of the same? Are there some fundamentals that are the same? I'm very curious. I'm very curious about that.
The big differences is that when you and I were coming up, every comic had their Tonight Show 6. Right. We all had our 6-minute TV clean set, no matter who you were, and you worked on it all the time, because that was your ticket, right? To get Letterman or the Tonight Show or whatever. That doesn't really exist anymore.
No.
Right? So now it is. So for one, it's harder for people. I mean, that was my route. That was my break, getting the Tonight Show. So that was something that I knew I could do. That I didn't need connections. I could work on my 6, and if it's good enough, I can get my ticket punched, So that part of it is harder for them. The more opportunities is that anyone can put their 30 seconds of crowd work on TikTok,
YouTube,
and maybe
Instagram. Somebody will see it.
Maybe you hit the lottery with it,
Right.
Yeah.
So people do that. The hard part is that there are people who are just. It's like, God, I wish you waited 3 years before you put yourself out there, because you have the basic talent, but you're just not there, But it varies. I do hope you come next. There's some funny.
There's no hope.
people
We're
you should
coming.
see.
We're coming.
Good.
Yes.
We got to mention that it's gone untouched.
The last 4 minutes have been like,
Yeah,
shut
there's
up.
Gatto's
I'm
Pizza,
so hungry.
our unofficial pizza sponsor. with
Yes,
Whiskey
Gatto's.
Business.
Got to get a Gatto's.
There's Gatto's Pizza
you,
there,
Gatto's.
so maybe you can grab a slice before you go.
Yes.
At 7:14. So
Can I say one more thing about
Yeah.
your neighborhood?
Yeah, man.
Just 2 weeks ago, I had my first Wario's sandwich.
Oh,
yes,
right
just
across
down the street, ladies
The
and
roast
gentlemen.
pork sandwich, and I was like, one thing, I've been here 7 years. How did nobody tell me to go to Wario's?
Yeah.
Dude,
It
it's
is
the
the
best.
reason for being in. I mean, every town has like a thing that you got to go, and it's not the big
It's
fancy
right
Cameron
there.
Mitchell restaurant. It's some place like that.
It's been on Triple D.
Warrior.
I'm very-
Oh
I'm very-
no, I know.
Yeah,
After I've
right.
told people, they're like, "How did you not know?" But I said, "Well, I'd driven past it."
Very fortunate. Very fortunate. It's right across the street, but it's
It's responsible for 10 pounds.
It's-
Actually.
Roast pork sandwich.
and it's almost like
So
you got to
good.
save up for a sandwich. It's not cheap.
Oh, the sandwich is
Yeah,
It's
ridiculous.
really
No,
huge.
it's
You got to
awesome.
save up. It's
so good.
it's good. It's expensive, but it's worth it.
But
like
it's two
it.
sandwiches. It's
I like
two
the
meals.
Warriors way.
Not
I
a
like
sponsor,
love
but
the
could be.
Warriors way. It's the best.
Yeah.
All right,
So good.
maybe I'll
They
send
can be a
this podcast
sponsor.
to Warriors.
Went through the business.
Maybe
Yeah, went
after
through
the
business.
podcast, there's Warriors waiting
What's
for
the
us.
Warriors way?
It's just got more cheese sauce and
Yeah. I like
More,
that.
just
More of everything.
more
Yeah.
good,
More war.
Yeah, it's just
more joy,
Gooder.
more
Yeah.
sandwich joy.
Yep.
and the smashed potatoes are awesome by the way.
Oh man, yeah, they are. Those are
Yeah.
good. Okay,
Not good for my diabetes.
my diabetes.
It's
Mike
not
Larsen.
diabetes,
Okay,
it's the
Wilford
Warriors
Brimley.
way.
That's right.
Mike Larsen, thank you so much. Guest bottle, which we barely touched tonight because we were so intrigued with conversation. The Jack Daniels MCL, the McLaren JD 2024 edition. Pretty good. We didn't even talk about if we liked it or not. You didn't drink any because you
I
didn't
liked
I liked it
it.
a lot. It was nice.
I
It was
did.
nice, pretty smooth stuff.
And-
Proof.
Yeah, and Greg.
No idea. I did
Greg,
not do
where
any
can they-
research on this bottle. I just know that I had it and we haven't had it, so I put it out there.
And Greg, where can they listen to Whiskey
Yeah,
Business?
thanks, Chip, for asking.
Where can they
Whiskey
catch us?
Business is on all of your favorite podcasting apps. Thanks for subscribing and hitting that little smash button there. Smashing the like button. That's it. Whiskey Business is on YouTube. Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis. Click that little bell icon, and you'll get a notification on the new episodes. Facebook, Instagram, Evergreen is our
Podcast Network, which I actually got to see the Evergreen Studios
right. I wanna hear- I
last
can't wait to hear
Friday.
about
Yeah,
that.
I went up there and checked them out. They're beautiful. They're
Yeah.
great. Saw the CEO, saw Michael, saw Gerardo, and yeah.
Did they cut you a check?
Check.
I'm waiting on that.
Like I hear advertisements on our podcast, but yeah. There's an algorithm, and we don't have time.
Damn
to get
algorithm!
into-
Dang,
I
I was
to
never
get
good
into
at
that.
math.
That's what I call my new boat. The
The
algorithm.
algorithm. That's funny. Mike Larsen, thank you. Greg Hansberry on the audio. John Whitney on the video. Chip Cassell on all of it. all sides, taking those lovely pictures that you see on social media and Facebook, and just, of course, an integral part of all of it, just because we love Chip. My name is Dino Tripodis. Until the next bottle, see ya.
Yay.